Have you ever had a dream, a goal, or even a small idea that you wanted to pursue? But you kept telling yourself, not yet. I'm not ready. I'll start when the timing is better. We've all done it. We wait for the stars to align, for life to feel less chaotic, for us to feel more confident, more prepared, more something. But let me tell you a truth that can change everything. The perfect time will never come. The greatest obstacle in your journey isn't lack of resources, lack of knowledge, or even lack of ability. It's the inability to begin. Today, we're going to talk about the courage to begin and why starting changes everything. Because the moment you take that first step, no matter how small, the entire path in front of you begins to shift. The myth of perfect timing. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that someday conditions will be perfect. I'll start my business when I have more money. I'll get fit when my schedule clears up. I'll write that book when inspiration strikes. But let's be honest, life is never going to slow down and roll out a red carpet for your dreams. There will always be bills. There will always be distractions. There will always be reasons to wait. The truth? Waiting doesn't prepare you. Waiting paralyzes you. We mask procrastination with preparation. We tell ourselves we're not ready yet, that we need more time, more research, more planning. But what we really need is motion. You don't need to see the entire staircase, you just need to take the first step. That's how you break the myth of perfect timing. You move, imperfectly, clumsily, even uncomfortably, but you move. And that's where momentum begins. Action breeds clarity. Here's another lie. I need clarity before I take action. We believe we need a perfect plan, complete certainty, and a clear picture of the future before we start. But the reality is this: clarity comes from action, not before it. Think about it. How many times have you overthought a decision only to realize the moment you actually tried it, everything became clearer? Action creates feedback. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It reveals strengths you didn't know you had, and weaknesses you didn't know you needed to improve. When you act, even imperfectly, you begin to shape reality instead of just imagining it. You don't need a map for the entire journey. You just need the courage to start walking. The road reveals itself as you move forward. Action builds confidence. Here's a big one: confidence. Most people think confidence is a requirement to start. They say, I'll do it when I feel confident. But confidence is not a prerequisite. Confidence is a byproduct. Confidence is built through doing, not through waiting. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you create a win. And those wins stack. You start to see yourself differently. You start to trust yourself more. This is called the competence-confidence loop. The more you do, the more competent you become. The more competent you become, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the more action you take. That loop doesn't start with confidence. It starts with courage. The courage to begin. So stop waiting until you feel ready. Readiness comes after you act, not before. The psychology of starting. Let's go deeper. Why is starting so hard for us? It comes down to fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of wasting time and energy. But here's something fascinating. Once you start, fear begins to lose its grip. Neuroscience shows us that taking action reduces anxiety. Your brain rewards you with dopamine, a chemical that boosts motivation and focus every time you make progress. And then there is something called the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain has a natural tendency to stay engaged with unfinished tasks. That means once you start, it's actually harder to quit than it is to keep going. So the secret is simple. Just begin, even with the smallest action. Because starting shifts the psychology of your mind from resistance to momentum. How to actually start. A blueprint. All right, let's get practical. How do you break the cycle of waiting and actually begin? Here's a blueprint. Lower the bar. Don't try to run a marathon. Just put on your shoes and walk for 5 minutes. Small starts beat big intentions. Use the 5-minute rule. Commit to working on your task for just 5 minutes. Often, that's all it takes to build momentum. Anchor habits. Attach your new action to something you already do. Want to start journaling? Do it right after you brush your teeth. Focus on process, not outcome. Instead of obsessing over results, measure progress by whether you showed up. Celebrate starts. Reward yourself, not for perfection, but for beginning. Because that's where everything changes. Remember, it's not about doing it all today. It's about beginning today. The compounding effect of beginning. Here's the beauty of starting. Beginnings compound. Write 1 page a day, and in a year, you'll have a book. Save a little money consistently, and in years, you'll have wealth. Practice one small habit daily, and in time, you'll have a transformed life. Big achievements are nothing more than small actions, repeated consistently, that started with one single beginning. Momentum is a powerful force, but you can't experience it until you begin. 1 step today leads to 10 steps tomorrow, and 10 steps tomorrow lead to 100 steps in the months ahead. The cost of not starting. But here's something important to consider. What happens if you don't start? Visualize this. A year from now, nothing changes. You're still waiting, still planning, still thinking. And deep down, you feel that creeping sense of regret. Now visualize the other path. A year from now, you began. Maybe it was messy, maybe you stumbled, but you moved, you grew, you discovered. You're in a completely different place. Not because you had the perfect plan, but because you had the courage to begin. Which version of yourself do you want to meet in the future? The one who waited, or the one who started? So here's the truth. The courage to begin is the secret to everything. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting to feel confident. Stop waiting for conditions to be ideal. They never will be. Start now. Start small. Start messy. But start. Because once you begin, clarity comes, confidence comes, momentum comes. And with momentum, everything becomes possible. Your future self is waiting for you to begin today. If this video inspired you, do me a favor. Hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more content every week on mindset, growth, and motivation. Remember, the courage to begin changes everything.